The Galactic Empire fleet moved like a black wave across the stars, endless rows of warships stretching into the void. Cruisers, carriers, and destroyers all traveled in perfect formation, their engines glowing faint blue. The commanders inside, the lead flagship, looked out with pride. To them, the galaxy belonged to the Empire. No star was too far, no world too distant. Yet one place had always been avoided. One place stood apart: Terran space. Every cadet in the Empire knew the story. Centuries ago, the humans had fought a war so brutal that entire star systems burned. Afterward, the humans disappeared into silence. The Council declared their region forbidden. Some said it was respect, others said it was fear. But with time, memories fade. Empires grow proud. Now, the fleet was here. The alien admiral, a tall reptilian called Zorvak, stood at the center of the command deck. His scales shimmered in the light as he spoke. "Terran space," he hissed with amusement. "The most overrated myth in the galaxy. Today we prove there is nothing to fear." His officers nodded, though some looked uneasy. The stories were old, but they were not forgotten. The first Terran marker appeared on the sensors, a long-dead satellite drifting without power. It bore the ancient human emblem, an eagle with wings spread wide. The crew laughed. "So this is what kept us away?" One officer sneered. "A pile of human scrap metal?" They continued forward. The border was crossed. Suddenly, alarms chimed on the console. A signal pulsed from the broken satellite. The old machine came alive for just a moment, long enough to broadcast a message. The voice was mechanical, ancient, but the words were clear. "You have entered forbidden space. This is Terran territory. Turn back now." The bridge went silent. A young lieutenant shifted nervously. "Admiral," the warning on it came in every language at once. Zorvak bared his teeth in a grin. "A trick, an old recording. The humans are long gone. They hide behind empty threats." The fleet pressed on. Outside the viewport, space grew, darker, colder. The stars seemed to thin out. Ships scanned in every direction, but only silence filled the void. No colonies, no resistance, nothing. Still, unease grew. One of the scout ships, the Varik, pushed ahead to scan deeper into the sector. Its crew joked over comms, laughing about ghosts and human legends. Minutes passed. Then their laughter cut off mid-sentence. Static filled the channel. "Contact lost," an officer reported. Zorvak narrowed his eyes. "Malfunction. Send another scout." The second ship launched, sleek and fast. It followed the same path as the first. Its signals were strong, until they weren't. Within seconds, it too vanished. No explosion, no distress call, just silence. The bridge crew stared at their admiral. Even he looked uneasy now. "2 scouts gone without a trace," whispered one officer. "That cannot be coincidence." "Enough," Zorvak snapped. "We are the Empire. We do not bow to ghost stories. Press forward." The massive fleet surged deeper into Terran space. Then, the sensors picked something up. A shape. No, many shapes. Large, moving slowly. "Multiple contacts detected," the sensor officer said, voice shaking. "But readings are unclear. It's like they are there, and not there." The holographic display flickered, showing faint silhouettes, giant outlines far larger than any ship the Empire had ever seen. The signals wavered as if cloaked. Gasps spread through the crew. What are those?" someone whispered. Zorvak clenched his claws. "Phantoms, sensor ghosts, ignore them, full speed ahead." But deep inside, even he felt the icy grip of fear. The fleet advanced, but the strange silhouettes followed. Always at the edge of vision, never clear, never close enough to confirm. They lingered like predators in the dark, waiting for the right moment. The tension grew unbearable. Officers whispered about cursed space, about the ancient Terran war fleets that were said to never die. Some remembered the old tales. Humans did not forgive trespass. Still, the Admiral refused to stop. "We'll crush these shadows, whatever they are. When the galaxy sees our triumph, No one will fear humans again, he declared. But at that moment, the bridge lights dimmed. A chill ran through the ship. A deep vibration shook the hull as if something vast had brushed against it. The crew froze. The comm system crackled alive with a voice not heard in centuries. It was human, calm, cold, and terrifyingly clear. You have crossed the forbidden border. Leave now, or be erased. Silence fell across the fleet. No one moved. No one spoke. And for the first time in his career, Admiral Jorvac felt the weight of doom pressing on his chest. He had ignored the warning. Now he feared he had made his final mistake. The fleet of the Galactic Empire pressed deeper into Terran space. Engines roared in the endless dark, but every officer felt the same unspoken truth. The warning still echoed in their minds. Leave now, or be erased. Admiral Jorvac sat on the command throne of his flagship, his claws tapping the armrest. He forced his voice to sound strong. Humans use fear. It is their only weapon. We will not bow to ghosts. Yet even he noticed the silence. In every other sector of the galaxy there was life. Radio chatter, trade beacons, mining stations, always something. But here, nothing. No signals, no colonies, no signs of movement. It was like stepping into a graveyard of stars. A junior officer leaned closer to the admiral. Sir, it feels like we are being watched, Jorvac growled. Nonsense. Still, his eyes shifted to the dark space beyond the glass. The fleet stretched far and wide, hundreds of ships bristling with weapons, their armor gleaming with imperial pride. Yet, in the emptiness, they felt small. On the far edge of the sector, another scout ship disappeared. One moment its signal blinked bright on the holomap, the next gone. No explosion? Jorvac demanded. None, Admiral. Just silence. The bridge crew whispered among themselves. One officer muttered, "It's like something swallowed them whole." For hours the fleet pressed forward. Then the shadows returned. At first they looked like distortions, ripples in the void, massive forms that sensors refused to fully track. One moment they were there, the next they melted away like smoke. But the crew could feel them, watching, waiting. One captain on the comms broke discipline. Admiral, I request permission to withdraw. These shapes, they move like predators. Denied. Jorvac barked. No predator dares hunt the Empire, yet his voice lacked conviction. Then the first sound came. A deep, distant hum vibrated through the comms. Low, steady, like the growl of some ancient beast. It wasn't mechanical, it was alive with purpose. Every crewman felt it in their bones. Is that a ship? Whispered the sensor officer. The hum grew louder, shaking the decks. Some swore they saw stars shifting, blocked out by something vast moving across the darkness. The fleet tightened formation, weapons armed, but the hum soon faded back into silence. Perhaps it was a natural phenomenon, Jorvac muttered, though his scales rippled with unease. But then, something worse. The holomap flickered with a ghostly outline. A single Terran vessel, colossal in scale. No details, just the shadow of a ship larger than anything the Empire had ever built. Impossible, the officers gasped. The image lasted only seconds before vanishing. But in that short moment, fear spread like wildfire. The Admiral slammed, his fist against the console. A trick. Humans were never capable of such engineering. Yet even he could not shake the vision. Night cycle came, but no one rested. Every officer, every soldier stared into the void, waiting for the silent watchers to strike. The hum returned now and then, always from a different direction, always fading before they could lock on. One by one, nerves broke. On a destroyer near the rear, a panicked captain ordered weapons to fire into the dark. Dozens of missiles streaked across the void, only to vanish into nothing. No target, no explosion. The captain's voice cracked across the comms. "They're out there, watching us," Jorvac roared. "Hold fire, or you'll waste ammunition." But the damage was done. Fear had spread through the ranks. Then the first real evidence appeared. The wreckage of the lost scout ship drifted into view, or rather what was left of it. The vessel had been cut clean in half as if by an invisible blade. Its crew, gone. No bodies, no escape pods. Nothing. Gasps filled the command deck. The sensor officer's hands shook. Admiral, this was no accident. Something took them. Jorvak's jaws clenched. The Watchers were no longer shadows, they were hunters. Still, he would not retreat. His pride was too great. "We are the Empire," he growled. "We do not turn back." But deep down, he knew the truth. The hunters were letting them live. For now. As the wreckage drifted past, a faint signal pulsed from it. A recording, somehow, left behind. The crew activated it. Static filled the speakers, then a single human voice whispered in the old tongue, "We see you." The sound echoed through every ship in the fleet, chilling blood, freezing hearts. For the first time, even Admiral Jorvak felt true fear. The humans were not gone, they were here, watching, waiting, and they had not yet decided when to strike. The Empire's fleet drifted deeper into Terran space, but the silence was no longer empty. It was heavy, crushing, like the calm before a storm. Every officer could feel it. Every crewman knew it. Something was out there. Admiral Jorvak stood, tall on the command deck of his flagship, but his scales trembled beneath his armor. His words were iron, but his heart was stone. Enough waiting. Humans play with shadows, but we command fire. Prepare the fleet for full advance. Engines flared. Hundreds of Imperial ships surged forward, weapons primed. Their formation filled the stars with power, a display meant to intimidate any enemy. But the void remained still. Then, without warning, alarms screamed across the fleet. "Gravity spike detected," the sensor officer cried. The ships shook violently as unseen forces gripped them. Their engines roared, but the jump drives refused to engage. The fleet was trapped inside a massive net of gravity wells, woven like chains through the void. Panic spread through the officers. "Admiral, we cannot jump out. We are locked inside their trap." Jorvak's voice shook for the first time. "How? No one has this technology." But before an answer could come, the shadows moved. At the far edge of vision, the darkness shifted. Stars blinked out, one after another, as if something enormous had slid between them and the fleet. Slowly, the outlines sharpened, and then they appeared. The Terran warships. They emerged like titans rising from the abyss, vast, monstrous, ancient, and unstoppable. Each one was a fortress in space, bristling with weapons that glowed faint, with restrained power. Their hulls bore scars of wars older than the Empire itself. Some were black as obsidian, others silver as moonlight, each marked with the faded sigils of old Terran fleets. But one ship dwarfed them all. It emerged at the center of the formation, so massive that its shadow consumed the stars. A supercarrier, longer than entire cities, its surface etched with glowing lines of energy. Cannons the size of towers lined its flanks. Its core pulsed with golden light like the beating heart of a god. Gasps filled the bridge of Jorvak's flagship. One officer whispered, That cannot be real." Another muttered, "It is bigger than our entire fleet." The Terran ships did not fire. They simply drifted into position, surrounding the Empire's armada like predators circling prey. Silent, patient, watching. Then came the voice. It was human, deep, calm. It rolled through every comm channel at once, leaving no room for escape. "We warned you. Terran space is forbidden. You should have turned back." The voice was cold, without emotion. It was not a threat. It was a verdict. Jorvak's claws dug into his chair. "This is madness. Open fire. Show them the strength of the Empire." Beer-meing. Order spread. Thousands of cannons lit up the void. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma beams cut across the darkness. The fleet poured its full fury at the Terran warships. And then, and nothing. The Terran hulls absorbed the storm. Shields rippled faintly. Armor glowed. But not a single human ship fell. The Empire's might had struck like lightning and done nothing more than scratch stone. The laughter that once filled the Empire's ships was gone now. Only silence remained. Then the Terrans moved. The supercarrier's golden heart flared bright. Its cannons began to glow, brighter and brighter, until the very stars seemed dim beside them. A single shot fired. It was not loud. It was not fast. It was a lance of pure force, silent and deadly, that crossed the void in an instant. An Imperial battleship vanished in a blinding flash, ripped apart before its crew could even scream. Gasps filled Jorvak's bridge. "By the stars," whispered his lieutenant. They destroyed it with one shot." The Terran fleet did not celebrate. They did not taunt. They simply watched, weapons glowing with restrained fury, as if deciding how many more would be erased. And then the voice returned. "This is your first lesson. Terran space is not yours to take. Leave while you still breathe, or you will not leave at all." The words carried across every ship, filling every alien heart with dread. Jorvak staggered back. His pride warred with his fear. Retreat meant shame. Defeat meant dishonor. But one look at the colossal Terran carrier, its cannons ready to fire again, left no doubt. The humans were not a myth. They were not weak. They were a sleeping giant, awakened at last. The Admiral felt his pride shatter. For the first time in his career, he whispered the word he swore he'd never use: retreat. But deep inside, he already knew it was too late. The silent watchers had awakened. The order to retreat spread across the Empire's fleet like a wave of panic. Engines roared, jump drives screamed, but nothing worked. The gravity wells held, them tight invisible chains forged by human hands. The fleet was trapped. On the flagship's bridge, Admiral Jorvak's claws trembled against the armrest. He barked the command again, louder, as if his voice alone could break the invisible prison. "Retreat, break formation, escape." But escape was no longer an option. The Terran fleet moved, slowly, patiently. Their formation tightened, ships sliding into perfect hunting lines. The giant supercarrier hung at the center, its golden heart pulsing with terrible light. Around it, destroyers and cruisers glowed like wolves ready to strike. And then the humans fired. It began with silence. A hum rolled through the void, deep and ancient, vibrating the hulls of every ship. The light grew, spreading across Terran, weapons like fire crawling along dry wood. Then came the thunder. One cannon, one shot, one Empire ship gone. The beam ripped through an Imperial cruiser, cutting it in half so cleanly that its two halves drifted apart like broken toys. The crew never even screamed. Then came another shot and another. Each one fired slow, deliberate, unhurried. Each one destroyed a warship with impossible precision. The aliens fired back in desperation. Thousands of beams, torpedoes, and missiles tore across the stars. Explosions lit up the void. The Empire's fury filled the battlefield. But the Terran ships held. Their armor glowed faint blue as weapons struck, but nothing pierced. Kinetic slugs slammed into them. Plasma bathed their hulls, but they endured. Where an Imperial destroyer would shatter, a Terran dreadnought stood unmoved. On the command deck of Jorvak's ship, silence filled the air as officers watched the slaughter. "This cannot be," whispered one. "They are untouchable." Another muttered, "We are prey." Panic spread. Across the fleet, ships tried to scatter, but the humans were ready. The Terran destroyers unleashed swarms of projectiles, simple rail slugs traveling at near light speed. They didn't explode. They didn't need to. The kinetic impact alone shattered shields, tore armor, and ripped ships apart. Whole squadrons of Imperial frigates vanished in seconds. The Terran supercarrier finally unleashed its full wrath. Its forward cannon fired a lance of golden light so massive it looked like a sunrise had erupted in space. The beam tore through not one but 3 ships in a single strike. Their wrecks spun in silence, flames frozen in the vacuum. Jorvac gripped his chair until his claws cracked. His pride told him to fight. His instinct screamed to run, but there was no place to run. The Terran voice returned, calm, cold, unmoved. This is the price of arrogance. You entered forbidden space. You ignored the warning. Now you will pay. The words echoed in every Imperial ship. Soldiers froze at their stations. Officers felt their courage rot away. Then the Terrans advanced. Their cruisers cut through the formation like blades. Each shot found its mark. Each weapon strike ended lives. They did not waste energy. They did not miss. Empire ships collided in chaos, trying to flee in every direction, but the gravity wells dragged them back. Some fired on their own allies in desperation, their formations breaking, discipline gone. In the void, order belonged only to the Terrans. A single Imperial carrier unleashed its full payload, hundreds of fighter craft spilling into space, wings spread like insects. They swarmed toward the nearest Terran dreadnought, firing missiles and beams. For a moment it seemed like numbers might overwhelm. Then, the dreadnought spoke. Its hangar bays opened and human fighters launched. Sleek, silent, glowing with blue engines, they moved with inhuman precision. The first Terran squadron cut through the swarm like a blade through glass. Alien fighters exploded one by one, their wrecks scattering like sparks. In less than a minute, the sky was clear again. Jorvac watched in despair. His empire's pride, their strongest fleet, was being torn apart like paper. He whispered, not to his crew, not to his officers, but to himself. We should have listened. The Terran supercarrier turned its colossal cannon toward his flagship. Its glow lit the bridge in golden light, so bright that shadows danced across the walls. For the first time, Admiral Jorvac felt smaller than a child, Admiral, his lieutenant whispered, voice cracking. This is the end. The human voice came one last time, filling every corner of the ship. Your final mistake was believing we were gone. The cannon fired. A wall of light filled the Admiral's vision, and then silence. The flagship was gone. The battlefield was quiet now. Where once the Empire's proud fleet had stretched across the stars, only wreckage remained. Broken ships drifted aimlessly, their twisted hulls glowing faintly with dying fire. Fragments of steel, shattered engines, and lifeless bodies floated in the void. The silence was worse than the battle. It was absolute. The Terran fleet did not cheer. They did not signal victory. They simply stood among the wreckage, silent guardians of their space, their cannons still glowing with restrained fury. From the shadows, the colossal Terran supercarrier moved forward. Its golden heart pulsed slowly, steady and calm, like the beat of a Titan's chest. Smaller Terran warships flanked it, their formations sharp, their weapons still aimed at the drifting survivors of the Empire. On one crippled destroyer, a surviving alien captain stared through cracked glass at the giants around him. His crew begged for orders. His voice trembled as he spoke. There are no orders, only survival, if they allow it. Across the battlefield, only a handful of ships remained functional. Their engines sputtered, shields shattered. They were prey that the hunters had chosen not to finish. Not yet. Then the comm channels came alive. Every surviving Imperial ship, every officer, every soldier heard it. The human voice. Calm. Cold. Final. The warning was clear. Terran space is forbidden. You entered knowing the cost. Now you will. Carry our message back to your masters. The survivors froze. The voice continued, steady as stone. Tell the galaxy what you have seen. Tell them what happens to those who ignore the line. The humans are not gone. We are not weak. We do not forgive. The words sank deep into every heart. This was not anger. This was not vengeance. This was law. On his crippled destroyer, the alien captain lowered his head. His claws trembled. He whispered to himself, "They could have killed us all, but they chose to let us live. That is worse. One by one, the surviving Imperial ships were released from the grip of the gravity wells. Engines roared weakly back to life. They limped away, broken and silent, carrying the memory of horror with them. The Terran fleet did not pursue. They watched. They waited. They let the survivors crawl away into the dark. On the bridge of the supercarrier, a lone Terran commander stood tall. His uniform was dark, his eyes cold. He gazed at the wreckage drifting outside the viewport. His voice, when he spoke, was a whisper only his crew could hear. "They will not forget," another officer asked. "Sir, should we follow them? Destroy what remains?" The commander shook his head slowly. "No. Fear spreads faster than wreckage. Let their own tongues carry our warning. Let the galaxy know we are awake." The officer bowed his head. "Yes, Commander." The supercarrier turned, its engines burning with quiet power. The rest of the fleet followed, vanishing into the void with eerie precision. Within minutes, the Terran armada was gone. Only silence remained, as if the battle had never happened, but the wreckage told the truth. Days later, the survivors of the Empire limped back to their nearest stronghold. They were broken men, broken officers, broken ships. When they told their story, few believed them at first. "Impossible," scoffed the Council of Admirals. "No fleet could do such a thing." But when the survivors showed the recordings, the golden light of the supercarrier, the effortless destruction, the cold human voice, the council chamber fell silent. One elder whispered, "If this is true, then the humans are the most dangerous power in the galaxy." Another muttered, "They gave us mercy. That means they wanted us afraid." Word spread like wildfire. Across star systems, across empires, whispers grew. The humans are awake. Their space is forbidden. Cross their borders, and you will not return. Legends became truth. Fear became law. No one dared to laugh at the Terran warnings again. Back in their hidden strongholds, the humans watched. They had no need to shout, no need to boast. The galaxy would carry their message. On the command bridge of the supercarrier, the Terran commander stood once more. He looked into the endless stars and spoke words meant only for himself. "They thought we were gone. They thought we were weak. But now, they will remember." The stars outside burned bright, and in their glow, the silent fleet disappeared again into the darkness, waiting for the next intruder who dared to forget the warning.